and I noticed that I could actually bring my hands farther away and still see my hand clearly. So I started the Endmyopia reduced lens method exactly 2 years ago, and when I first started I was a minus 5.5 in my left eye, minus 5.25 in my right eye, and I'm currently at minus 3 in my left eye and minus 2.75 in my right eye. So in this video I want to go over the whole starting experience of the Myopia reduced lens method. And honestly, I was a little bit hesitant to make this video because it was a bumpy ride at the beginning. I was kind of figuring things out, and I made a lot of mistakes, but eventually I found my way. So I really wanted to make this video in hopes that it can help someone when they're starting in this journey. I'm going to cover a lot of topics in this video. I've got a huge list of things that I want to go over. I'm going to cover a lot of topics, and feel free to use the timestamps and listen to whatever you want to hear about. Before I start, I just want to make a huge disclaimer. I am just sharing my experience only. So I'm just one person sharing my experience of the Myopia reduced lens method. If anything sounds off to you, if anything sounds like it doesn't really align with the Myopia reduced lens method, please don't listen to me. Just follow the Myopia reduced lens method. A lot of things might look a little bit messy at the beginning of when I started, but I'll really try to explain everything step by step and what I was doing and how I troubleshooted my way out. Yeah, just take everything with a grain of salt, and always refer to the Endmyopia resources. I've put everything in the description, all the links in the description below, so check it out if you're completely new to this and you want to get started. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is the resources that I used. So the endmyopia.org website has a lot of resources. There's the free ones, and then there are the paid resources. So when I first started, actually throughout all of this, I have only used the free resources. So I have done the DIY approach, and for me that has worked really well, and I'm kind of the type of person that likes to do DIY things. I really like to figure things out on my own, especially with these kind of like natural or these kind of lifestyle changes. I like to figure it out on my own with the free resources. However, if in the future I ever get stuck, I will definitely consider going into one of these paid programs, because at the end of the day, I want to get to 2020. I don't care how it takes to get there. And for some of you, it might be a lot easier and a lot more beneficial to do any of the paid programs. I can't speak on the paid programs at all because I wasn't part of it, but I can definitely speak on the free resources. So what free resources did I use? When I first learned about Endmyopia, it was through one of Jake Steiner's YouTube videos. So it was one of the cartoon ones, the animated ones. My sister sent it to me, and I was just like, I was at complete disbelief. I'm like, this thing's not gonna work. It just makes too much sense, honestly. But eventually, my sister actually got onto the free 7-day email guide, and I was just thinking, okay, well, let me also join into these free 7-day email guides. So I got onto the 7-day email guide, and so he gives you, I think, 7 emails throughout 7 days, and they cover a lot of the different topics from the science all the way on to like how to get your differential glasses, your normalized glasses, and just kind of a lot of different topics. When I first got these emails, I was just so busy with work, honestly, that I wasn't really reading them. And whenever I wanted to read them, I knew that looking at the distance, looking up close with my distance glasses was going to give me more myopia. And I just couldn't read, like, I didn't have differential glasses at that time, and I just couldn't read anything with my bare eyes at -5. Okay, so I was just thinking, okay, I need to read this in order to learn how to improve my eyesight, but reading is going to give me more myopia. So it was kind of a mess at the beginning. Also, I was a little bit lazy, to be completely honest with you. And I kind of delayed it. And then, so that was September of 2022 is when I got onto the free resources. In October of 2022, that is when Jake Steiner, when you get onto the email list, you get a bunch of emails, monthly emails from him. So October of 2022, that is when he emailed and said that there's a free online webinar version of the 7-day email guide. So I was actually, I don't think I learned about it. I think my sister also told me about this. So I got onto the free webinar, and I was the first cohort of people doing this free webinar. And it was essentially the same thing as the 7-day email guide, but in video format, where Jake Steiner just talking about his, about this, like all these different topics. And I don't know if it was 7 days or 8 days or longer. I don't remember. But so that was what really started my journey. And I don't know if he does these online webinars anymore. It was 2 years ago when he first started, so I would assume he's still doing it. I'm not sure. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely ask him about it. I found those really helpful. With the resources, some of the things that really helped me learn and understand this process is learning the science behind it. So I really encourage you to learn the science, like really actually focus on learning the science. I think it's one of the first steps of the 7-day email guide or webinar. Learning the science is really what is going to help you troubleshoot in the future if you're doing the DIY approach. Learning the science also made me understand what was going on with my eyesight. Whenever I had some problems, whenever I had improvements, that is really what helped me. Aside from the 7-day email guide and the webinar, I watched a bunch of Jake Steiner's YouTube videos, and I also went on to the websites and read some of the different articles. Okay. Now I want to talk about my first reductions. So this is where please just listen to whatever I'm gonna say as just my experience only and not what you should do. Okay, this is not following the Myopia reduced lens method at all. This is just what I ended up doing. So I don't remember what I was doing, so I actually brought my my chart, and I'll put it up here so I can just kind of show you guys what I was doing in the timeline. So I was prescribed -5.5 and -5.25 back in October of 2021, and then May of 2022, that's when I went back to my optometrist, and she told me that my eyesight improved a little bit. I think the reason why it improved was because I stopped working with the microscope at work. And I explain all of this in my very first video. I link it up here. And essentially the microscope ruined my eyeballs from -5 to -5.5. But then when I stopped working on them, I improved my eyesight a little bit. I think I improved by either 0.25 or 0.5, and I don't remember how much in each eye, honestly. But at that point, I didn't want to get another pair of glasses, so I actually didn't end up getting the glasses that she prescribed me, because honestly, they were glasses are so expensive. Right now, I just order them off of Zenny, and they're so cheap. But I was you had to pay like $200 for a pair of glasses. That's way too much. And so what I ended up doing instead was I actually went and got my old pair of glasses from high school. This is -5 in the left eye and -4.75 in the right eye. And the astigmatism, I have no idea. It's like a random pair of glasses that I used to wear back in the day when the style was cool. And so when she told me, oh, my eyesight improved, instead of getting new glasses, I went and got these and I wore them. And so I wore this from around spring or beginning of summer of 2022. And that's when I started this whole eye exercise thing. I was doing the whole eye exercise thing at the beginning before I did the Endmyopia reduced lens method, and I go through all of that in my very first video. It didn't do anything for me, honestly. And then at that time, maybe around September of 2022, I went back to that optometrist and I asked her if she could prescribe me a little bit lower than what was 2020 for me. And so she prescribed me -4.5 in the left eye, -4.25 in the right eye. And then I actually got those glasses. I got those and I started wearing them. And this was around the time that I was starting the Endmyopia reduced lens method, but not really starting it. Then eventually, somewhere along the line, I made the huge mistake of going with a pair of glasses, these ones, and these were -4 in the left eye, -3.75 in the right eye. And I think I did this October of 2022. That's when I was like really serious with Endmyopia. And I got these not because I was following the Myopia reduced lens method properly, but because I just thought that my eyesight was, my glasses were so overprescribed. So I ended up wearing these glasses, which I talk about this in my active focus video. These glasses, the diopters were lower, and also the astigmatism was different, and also the axis of the astigmatism was different. So all of this was really like this pair of glasses really ruined me, and I could not active focus to save my life, to be honest. And it wasn't until January of 2022 that's when I actually started to measure my eyesight using the centimeter measurements, that I figured out that this thing was not going to help me. So I got rid of it and I went and wore my -4.5 and 4.25 again, starting from January 2022. Okay, eventually after the whole mess at the beginning that I was just trying to explain, from January of 2022, that's when I started the actual approach of reducing differentials and then reducing my normalized glasses, reducing differentials, reducing normalized glasses. And I was going about, let's say, normalized glasses, I was reducing them every 3 months. And in between that, I would put in my differential reduction. So I was also reducing my differential glasses every 3 months. And so every month and a half, I would reduce the glasses. I think one of the reasons that I was able to reduce every 3 months instead of every 4 months was because I was, first of all, really focusing on going outside and looking in the distance and not looking at my phone and those kinds of things. It was really like, it was so important to me to focus on that. But also, I think I was very overprescribed, and I was really just trying to reduce very conservatively. So And what I mean by that is that whenever I reduced a new pair of glasses and I was having a really good day, a good vision day, I call them good eyeball days. Whenever I was having good eyeball days and I did zero diopter reset and then I reduced my normalized glasses, I could actually see the 20/20 line on a sunny day. If it was, and then later I would have some bad habits. Maybe I look at my phone. Maybe it's cloudy, whatever. I would be at around 20/50. I think that's when I was at. But there would be times when I would reduce normalized glasses and I could see 20/20 in natural lighting, like really good lighting, and everything was working perfectly. But so that's why I think that's how I reduced every 3 months. I feel like I was very really conservative with my reductions, and I was always seeing a lot better than what is recommended to see in your normalized glasses, really. And maybe that's why I improved really well at the beginning. In October 2022, when I started the free webinar, that's when I went and I got my first normalized glasses. Where are they? These ones. I went and got my very first differential glasses. I went and got my very first differential glasses, and these were, I think, minus 3.25 in the left eye, minus 2.75 in the right eye. Don't ask me why I did that ratio. I don't know, okay? I just did this, and I wore this, and this one, the astigmatism, was also wonky, and it didn't really ruin my eyes that much. Also, at the beginning, I got my eye chart, and at first it was so weird for me, and I was kind of not really believing that the eye chart could actually do anything for me. But anyways, I got it. My sister printed it off, 2 copies. She gave me one. She printed it off at the library, I think. And I put it up 20 feet from just somewhere in my house. And I got into the habit of going and standing and looking at the eye chart. And at the beginning of when I was doing this method, I would look at the eye charts a lot, and I wouldn't really do the centimeter measurements that much. But right now it's actually reversed. Right now I use the centimeter measurements a lot more, and I don't really look at the eye chart until the very last minute before I'm going to reduce my glasses, just to make sure that I'm at 20/20. But yeah, getting the eye chart was really cool, and I wasn't really like spending a lot of time staring at it, but I would look at it every once in a while and just get excited whenever I could read a new line. So ever since I've been using my differential glasses for close-up work, I really noticed how horrible my eyes felt when I wore my distance vision glasses for close-up work. So that is one thing that I noticed. And I would get these horrible headaches that honestly I just kind of accepted and got used to throughout my entire life. And that was really huge for me. And then the next thing that I noticed was that I got into the habit of going outside. I mean, I've been going outside a lot anyways, but whenever I was outside, I would just always look down as I was walking, because I was wearing these high prescription glasses, -5, and they were ruining my peripheral vision. And so I think with time, I just got into the habit of looking down when I was walking and not really looking far into the distance. And I started this whole looking into the distance thing when I was doing the eye exercise route, which again did not work. But when I got into the myopia reduced lens method, I learned again that looking at the distance is so important. And at first it was so strange to me. I'm like, how could that be? Just looking at something, just looking at the distance is going to help me improve my eyesight. Now, knowing the science, it makes a lot of sense, but at that time it was just so strange to me. But started to get into the habit of going and looking at the distance, and it was so weird for me at first, honestly, because I realized that I never really looked in the distance in my life. Another thing that I noticed was, because I was looking in the distance a lot, I got stingy eyes and kind of like teary eyes when I was trying to do active focus. And Jay Steiner talks about this. It's apparently normal to feel. And I felt that a lot at the very beginning. And even now, sometimes when I try to do active focus or look in the distance a lot, after I have spent a lot of time either looking at my phone or doing way too much close-up work for a really long time, I end up getting this stingy, teary eye situation happening. And that's really a sign for me that I've spent way too much close-up time, and I need to adjust my habits and look in the distance more. Because if, let's say I'm on vacation, or I'm just in a place where I'm not working at all, and I am not spending any time looking at my phone, I'm not doing any close-up work, after a few days, or after maybe even a day, I will not feel the stingy, teary eye situation during active focus. So that was one thing I noticed. At the beginning, I had that a lot. So I started noticing improvements when I was doing this method. And even though it wasn't perfect at the beginning, I was still making some improvements. And what I noticed was, at -5, okay, for those of you that are -5 and higher, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. But if you're lower than that, let me just explain to you. When you're at -5, you can't see anything clearly unless it's like brought up to your nose. Okay, around 18 centimeters of clarity, 18 to 20 centimeters of clarity. That's how much of clarity I only had. So I noticed that the only things that I could look at without my glasses were my nails or just my hands, and I noticed that I could actually bring my hands farther away and still see my hand clearly. And that was one huge sign of improvement for me, because again, I wasn't doing centimeter measurements very much at the beginning. And it was just so strange. And I kind of got into this habit of always bringing things so close to my face. But now that I could bring it a little bit further away, it was so interesting and weird for me. I kind of have to remind myself that I can see better now. I can move my hand away from my face and still see clearly. So that was really interesting for me. The other thing that I noticed when I first started and I was slowly improving was clear flashes. So one day I would just wake up and again, I've been at -5 for so many years. I got to a point where I couldn't see my own face clearly in the mirror when I was in the bathroom just washing my hands or whatever. I couldn't see my face clearly. And so when I first started this whole method and I was kind of improving, a few months into it, I woke up one morning and I looked at my face and I just got scared because I could see my eyeballs. And I was just so, not that I was scared to see myself, but I was just so surprised to be able to see my face in the mirror. Of course, this was just a clear flash, so it was just like 1 second, and then I freaked out, and then it was gone. But I would have these clear flashes more and more. And my very first sustained clear flash, I think this was around January of 2022. So I've been already doing the Endmyopia reduced lens method kind of like, not perfectly, but I was kind of doing it for around 3 to 4 months. And I have this beautiful China doll plant in my living room, and I was actually more than a meter away from it without my glasses, I had my glasses off and I was more than a meter away from it. And I looked, and then all of a sudden I could see the leaves clearly. And then I was like just trying to stay calm so the clear flash wouldn't go away. But then so I stayed calm, and then I could just see the leaves on the China doll plant. It was just so miraculous, honestly. And again, these were just clear flashes, so it wasn't sustained, but it was a really huge sign of improvement. So the other question that I've been getting a lot in the comments, actually not a lot, but I had this question in the comments, and the question was, do you get floaters, or do you get this transient astigmatism situation happening when you first started the Endmyopia reduced lens method? So I'm just going to go over that. So with the whole floater situation, I had that. I only have floaters or transient astigmatism whenever I am not wearing my glasses and I'm having a good vision day. I will have floaters at the very distance. Like if I'm looking at more than 20 feet, okay, we're talking about I'm not that good with distances, but very far, if I can see like clear flashes of something, it might be clear flashes but with double vision. And I never get this whole floaters transient astigmatism situation with my normalized glasses or my differential glasses. I actually don't experience that. I don't know if that's normal or if that's not normal. Again, please always refer to the Endmyopia resources if you are experiencing transient astigmatism. But the only thing that I can tell you from my experience was that I only experience these floaters when I'm not wearing my glasses and I'm looking in the distance, like very far. Okay. And usually I'm not very worried about them because I actually like it. Like I would prefer to, without my glasses, I would prefer to be able to see very far with double vision than to not see anything at all. And usually if I'm having a very good day, like if I've spent a lot of time outside and I have a lot of really good sleep, everything's perfect, all the stars are aligned, I might get really clear vision at the very distance, but with floaters, and I'm totally okay with that. There hasn't been anything that has popped up in my when I've been wearing my normalized or my differential glasses, so I haven't really dealt with it as an issue yet. So speaking on astigmatism, I've been getting a lot of questions about my astigmatism and if I have reduced, and I keep saying that no, I'm just leaving it for later, but that's actually not the entire truth. I did try to reduce my astigmatism once, and I kind of wasn't really doing it properly, and that's why I don't really like to talk about it that much. But since I'm making this video anyways, I'll just tell you what I was doing. So I'll just put the chart up here around January, or maybe a little bit after, when I was getting my new pair of differential glasses. I wanted to reduce my prescription. I keep saying prescription. No one's prescribing me anything. I'm just coming up with these myself. So my diopters, I wanted to reduce my differential diopters and make a differential reduction. And I thought, oh, let me just remove my astigmatism as well and see how I feel. So my astigmatism is just minus 0.5. So I don't have that much astigmatism. I used to have more and then it magically disappeared. I really don't know why. But I don't have that much astigmatism, so I thought, let me just remove that. But actually what ended up happening was I got some headaches, and I don't know if those headaches were because I I removed my astigmatism and I reduced my diopters. I don't know if I got those headaches because I wasn't doing the zero diopter reset properly. I don't know. Okay. Whatever it was, I was not getting, I felt headaches. And so I went back and added the astigmatism into my classes, both normalized and differentials, and I have been keeping my astigmatism until further down the line, maybe next year when I have lower diopters, and I want to work on it then. So another topic that I really want to talk about is nighttime driving. So when you're wearing your normalized glasses, it's recommended to be at around 2050, I think, on the eye chart, or 2040 or 2030 on the eye chart. That is actually, I think, legal. It's legal to drive. So I have been, again, this is my experience. I have been driving with my normalized glasses during the day if I'm not in an unfamiliar route. However, I always, since the beginning, have my previous pair of normalized, the one that I'm already 20/20 at, in my car, and I use that for nighttime driving, or if I'm driving on a cloudy day, kind of gloomy, dark day, and also the route is unfamiliar, or maybe I'm on the highway, I will always wear the previous normalized. So I think that's really important. When I got started, to just understand that even though I'm working on my eyesight, I still want to be safe for driving. So I use my previous normalized in nighttime situations, and also unfamiliar routes and highways. So now I just want to talk about the mistakes that I made, and hopefully you don't make these mistakes. Mistake number one is changing too many things at once. So at the beginning, I was just so confident. I don't know. I was just so confident, like, oh, I can do this. I'll add in my own rules here and there. It's no problem. I'm doing the free DIY approach. Nobody cares anyways. That one example that I gave with the normalized glasses, where I just thought that these guys, where the astigmatism and the diopters and the axis of the astigmatism were all different than my previous normalized, I thought these were going to be fine for me, and it turns out that they made me find active focus very difficult, and I was not able to really active focus properly. Mistake number two was underestimating my phone use and how that is going to impact my eyes. At the beginning, when I was learning about this and I was on the free email guide and the free webinar, I was kind of honestly a little bit in disbelief, and I didn't think that my phone was going to be that bad. But as I started progressing, as I started to get more and more serious about this, and my eyesight started improving, I really noticed how bad it was for me to just look at my phone. Even if I was just like taking off my glasses and I was looking at my phone like this for hours and hours, I realized how bad it was. So that was mistake number one, was underestimating how bad phones can be for my eyes at the beginning. But now I know, and I am so aware of my phone usage, and if ever I am using my phone a lot, I will expect my eyes to be horrible that day. So mistake number three was underestimating the importance of the zero diopter reset. So there were so many times at the beginning when I was doing reductions that I would just do the zero diopter reset for maybe a few hours, like 3 hours, it's fine in the morning. I'll just walk around without glasses and I'll put on my glasses. But it turns out for me, the best way to do zero diopter reset is to literally have the entire day where I am not using glasses at all, and also the day before I want to make sure that I release any ciliary spasm that I have. And so I really underestimated the zero diopter reset. I actually ended up having to redo reduction, maybe one or two of my reductions. I had to redo them because I was getting headaches. And I knew that it was because I didn't do the zero diopter reset enough. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of my experience. It was definitely bumpy at the beginning, but now I am in a flow. And definitely let me know if you have other questions in the comments. I read all of your comments, even though I'm so slow at responding to them. I'm so sorry. But I read all of your comments, and let me know if you have other questions and topics that you'd love for me to cover. So I'll see you next time. Bye.